Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of my 3-part series on GIS professionals answering life's toughest questions during COVID. Welcome to Ask Alice Anything, where we explore GIS stories that the general public can relate to.
All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming on this video with me. So this is a panel with GIS professionals with small children at home. So we're gonna just let everybody introduce themselves and just give us your name, how many years that you're in the GIS industry, and the age of your kids. So let's start with Mike.
I'm Mike Grogotsky. I've been in the GIS industry, I would say 24 years now, and I have 2 children. I have a boy, 9 years old, Carter, and he is in grade 4, and I have another younger son, Nolan. He is in senior kindergarten. He's in senior kindergarten. That's right. So just 2.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Guan Yu. I've been in GIS industry on and off. I'm in GIS industry early in my career, and I recently returned to the GIS path about half a year ago. I have a 3-year-old daughter. Her name is also Alice.
Great name.
I'm Grace Adeniji, and I've been in the GIS industry for about 13 years now. I have 2 kids. My first is 7, going on 30. She is in grade 2, and I have a very active boy. He is 2, and trust me, they both keep me busy. They do.
Hi, I'm RF Rafiq. I've been in GIS, I was just doing the calculations in my head, like 5 years. Hasn't been that long. 5 years I've been in GIS. I got 2 kids, very similar to everyone else on this call. They are 8 and 4. In fact, I was just having a conversation with the older one saying that this is going to be the only time in her life where she will be twice her brother's age.
Oh.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it took a while for her to figure that out. She's like, wait a minute, but won't I always be twice his age? I'm like, no, you're going to think about that. Math homework.
That's awesome. I love that. So because I also belong to this demographic, so I'm going to answer these questions with you all as well. Okay. So for me, I've been in the GIS industry since 2006. You guys can do the math. and my kids, I have a 7.5-year-old daughter who's going on, I would say about at least 13, 14. And I have a 2.5-year-old. I think I'm not sure about her. She's kind of crazy on her own mind. Completely different than the first one. So even though they're both daughters, completely different. So now we have young children. So I guess the number one question for everyone is, with young children and with your spouse, probably also working with you at home, what are your biggest challenges with this age group? Who wants to start? Art?
Fighting. That's easy. It's the fighting.
But how are you dealing with this? So the first part of the question is, what are your current challenges? And the second part is, how are you actually dealing with it, handling it?
So I was handling it not so well before. How's that?
Yeah. All right.
Now? I think when all this started, this whole work from home stuff started, it was challenging to deal with it because they'd be coming in and out of the office, they'd be screaming, they'd be doing all that sort of stuff. And I'd always feel like I need to stop that, right? I need to put an end to it right away. And then, I don't know, good or bad, I started to care less. And so I let it continue for a little while, right? I'm like, they have to be able to deal with it, amongst themselves. So they're going to be brothers and sisters forever. So, hey, they got to figure it out. So, at some point I'll step in, but I will usually let it go for a while, a lot longer. I guess the story I'm trying to say here is that I've embraced the chaos.
What about you, Mike?
I guess the challenge is our kids, maybe like yours, who have brothers and sisters, have a certain degree of fairness amongst that's not fair. Carter is going to a friend's house to play in the front yard. I'm not doing that. Or Nolan's been playing the iPad. I didn't get that. And there's lots of life lessons on like what's not fair that's been happening. And we we try and manage it a little bit like the way RF mentioned with like, you know what, we got in there at the beginning and we're really trying to be, hey, you know what, okay, if you're doing that, he's going to do this, you'll get this later, we'll get that. And now it's a little bit more like, that's right, Carter is going to get that. And maybe you'll get something later.
There's a common thread there. That's pretty
There's
cool.
a common thread. We relate it back to sports. Like our kids were before this, we're in very many leagues, and it's like, guess what? Sometime the ref is going to get the call wrong, and sometimes he's going to get it right. And you know what? It is not fair, but you can't worry about it. You got to keep moving on. So fairness is the big challenge we find.
And the way you deal with it, just figure it out, right?
Well, we do try and make it fair. Like I joke and say that, like we just don't let the one kid play with an iPad all day and the other kid sits there and does his schoolwork. You know, we set a schedule each day, which is this is happening at this time, this time, this time. We loosely follow it, but we do set aside time for both of them to have screen time or something which is a little more fun. So we do try and manage it, but it's not always going to be fair, and that's part of the message too.
No, that's good. I like that. Ron?
So I think my challenge is a little bit different, and to some degree I'm a little bit jealous of your challenges because you have two kids who will occupy each other's attention and fight with each other, and I only have one. So my biggest challenge is her cry for attention all the time. So that is really hard, and she's in a stage, you know, that she's curious about everything, and she's non-stop crazily, you know, want to get into things and want you to do that with her. So in her mind, it's really hard to get like, why, since you and working home, you and Dad, but I only want your attention 100% of the time. I want you to play with me. So that has been really challenging, and we've been giving her a lot more TV time at the beginning, and that's the biggest mistake that I made, I think, because that slowly changes her personality, and she has like more than 3 temper tantrums every day, and it takes, you know, more than 30 minutes to calm her down every time. So that is like really exhausting and tiring, and it's just hard. For me, the lesson learned is ask for help. Like at the beginning of the COVID time, we had one family member staying with as a mother-in-law. She's been helping, and that's great. And since she's gone, it was like, we can't operate like this anymore. We need help because we need to function for work as well. So we stay in an apartment building. We posted an ad in our apartment website, and we found a sitter within the building who will come in a couple hours in the morning and in the afternoon to play with her so that she has her dedicated attention, and we got some quiet time to concentrate on work. So that's been working great for us. What a life solution.
Grace?
I would have loved that one, because for me, I'm in the middle of both, you know, Mike, Arif, you all. I'm with the 8-year-old or 7.5-year-old that knows everything, and she just does what she wants. So she expects certain things when she wants. It doesn't matter if I'm in a meeting or I'm on the call, it's always mama, mama, mama. You know, she calls continuously. And it's always so funny that she wants my attention when I'm on the call. That's that was the frustrating part for me.
Like
but
a cat.
I have to say,
when you're typing something, it's always on top of you, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But I would say that was the start of this whole, you know, working from home, and trying to manage the whole thing was tough. It was really tough for me because my husband doesn't work in Canada. He works away. So handling the 2 kids, trust me, the iPad, the TV were my help.
Yeah.
They were my help. They were my solution, because they cried for something. That's what I gave. They wanted a snack. That's what I gave. So it's been tough, but over the weeks, I've been able to handle it and juggle the whole thing much better now.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So I'm kind of similar, but I'm such a type A person, as you guys all know. So of course I give my daughter a schedule, my 7.5-year-old. So what I did is every hour I give her, you know, so this hour is Chinese hour. So you can do anything Chinese related. I don't care if it's reading something, writing something, or saying poems with grammar. And then there's like a math hour, and there's the science hour, right? Of course, it doesn't really, you know, she doesn't really stay with that. And then I always find her when I go downstairs, always find her on an iPad. And she goes, oh, but I'm reading English, but I'm reading French, I'm reading something. I'm like, but that is just too much technology. And then I read a podcast somewhere is that because technology gave us a higher dopamine, so that if you do that in the beginning of the day, early on the day, we're so used to get so accustomed to higher dopamine hits that when it comes down to doing regular stuff like reading a book or even doing lower things, you don't get that sensation or that satisfaction or that happiness. So now I told her you can watch your technology after like 2 p.m. Like in the morning, has to be without technology, right? Because her schoolworks already have a French that already has technology embedded, that she has to go through the iPad for that. So I don't want her to add more her entertainment, video games, or her game time in addition to that. That's because like Guan. So her tension, like your kids, she's miserable, she's cranky, and she just has this like weird attitude. She's just kind of like she can't even do math. Like after that, she can't even do her math homework properly. So I'm just like, it's controlled freedom at this age. So the second question I have is, because we're so busy with our kids, tell us about yourselves. What are you working on, whether it is in life or with work or on yourself, if you find any time at all to do that.
I'll give it a go since I started last.
Sure.
I think actually they're pretty closely related for me. I think that, the word unprecedented has been said many times, of course, over the past few months, and we're all experiencing that right now. The thing is, we're all home. I'm home, my wife's home, my kids are home, they're home from school, and it's never happened before in our lifetimes, right? And it probably never will happen again, who knows? What I do know is that we have this incredible opportunity here. And so what I'm doing for myself really has to do with the family. I travel a lot for work. I'm always away. I'm on airplanes. I'm in other places constantly. And my wife has to, take care of the kids at home. And she's fantastic at that. She's a champion at that. But because I'm away a lot and I tend to work a lot, I thought I'm going to take advantage of the time that we have now. And my working on myself is spending as much time as possible with the family and with the kids, right? So that I think that's really what I'm getting at, and I absolutely love it. So it is self-attention in a way, because I think it's really important.
Yes, good. Mike?
I don't think I echo what Arif was saying there. I think we are just more going through each day with a sense of how do we make sure things are going well throughout the day. Me and Colleen don't do anything really for ourselves anymore. There is no
it's really hard this age.
Well, by doing things for ourselves, like Colleen still works out 8 to 9 online classes. She does that, like 4 days a week. So that we work that into the schedule. I still go I quite like running. I go for runs, but the runs involve the kids getting on their bikes and going for a run with me. Which is, so to Arif's point, not echoing it completely, like we're trying to do things more and more together. I take our oldest son loves to golf, so I take him to play 9 holes every couple weeks. We're also starting to play tennis because that's one of the few things that you can do in a sport that doesn't work. So we're doing that, like we're building that into the day, but it's more or less a part of what can we do in this situation to make things work better, where we're not just in the house, not just like in the early days, it was like, let's go for a walk. Let's go for another walk. Like, let's go for a walk, but not go to a park. So it's sort of a roundabout answer, but we're just trying to do things that we can still fit in the schedule that are together, but still kind of, fun.
I reflect what Mike mentioned for part of it is that I try to manage day by day. I try not to plan, for a week ahead of time or a month ahead of time. I feel like if I can manage a day well, that's a good success. It's been a big change that working from home with a kid, and something that I'm also working on myself, I guess, is try to carve out a little bit of time for myself, if not every day, at least every couple of days, whether it's, watching Netflix show, doing a workout, or talking to friends. 2020 has been crazy. I think what I'm trying to do is also look inward a little bit to find my strength, try to unpack of what is all going on there, and ask myself a question: how can I be part of it? Like, what can I do, knowing that the craziness that is going going on, and also like building strength from the communities that I come from. I talk to my friends more virtually, just so that, we know that we can overcome that sense of loneliness. I know it sounds crazy. We're still, in-house. I have kids, my husband, I see other people, but then there's that kind of like disconnected feeling from everything else, from the world, that's sometimes give me hard emotional times. And I just want to find my strength from my friends and from my communities and coworkers, and to go through this hard period.
And coming on videos like this is, talking about this is, I think it's time for yourself, something that, you're doing for yourself.
Well, until this COVID, I always thought I had time for myself. But lately I've had to hide in my closet because I need my me time. Because they follow me everywhere. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. They're with me all the time. And I would say at the beginning, I found that like frustrating, like, when am I ever going to find me time? But no, I got it that I'm enjoying all this time with them, and they make me laugh as much as they make me mad. But I laugh so much with the little things that they do, like follow me to the washroom and I'm kicking them out and they're not even listening. So I'm enjoying all these little things. What I do miss, yes, connecting with my coworkers. I never thought I thought I would love working from home, but no. I miss socializing, seeing people and just hearing what they have to say. I miss that part. But with this whole COVID, I would say I've spent time trying to renovate my home, right? It's something that I would have said, okay, I'm just paying someone to get it done. Well, you can't do that anymore, right? Because you're trying to be restrictive with all who enters your home. So I've been doing some of the handwork on my own, and it's amazing. My 2-year-old grabs a screwdriver, he wants to do the same thing. So I've enjoyed all these little things. I try not to lose what I was before COVID. So I used to be in a book club. And when this whole thing started and we got the whole lockdown, I was supposed to be the one hosting in March. And I couldn't host anymore because I can't invite people over. So we decided to do the Zoom book club. And it's been going month to month. My kids know that that's the time, just that 2 hours mom has to do this whole book club. They're always in the video. They cannot see them. They hear the cries and all that. But I've enjoyed that time, that I haven't lost that part of me. So I can't wait for normal life. I can't.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, actually, we're trying to change it a little. So people have complained that they don't have enough time to spend time and read a book. Can we try something else? So this time we tried to watch a movie on Netflix. So we're watching a movie called Miracle on Cell Number 7. Brilliant movie. It's a subtitle. I think you all should take the time and watch it. It's really good. So it's subtitled. I think the language they have there is Turkish. So it's a heartfelt, warming movie.
And for me, same thing, kind of like your book club. So while I was in the office, I had this meditation yoga thing that I was doing. And then because of this, I got moved it to Zoom, to virtual. Yes, I have less people joining, but I still have a few people joining me every week. And then, and that forces me to do my own yoga, my own meditation, which, I look forward to it every week. So that I didn't lose, which is great. And doing videos like this, even though I don't do it as often as I used to, the fact that I'm still doing it, it keeps me happy. Just like Ara said, I also treasure the time with the kids, because I know this is not going to last forever, right? And the kids are going to grow up, and they're going to maybe not talk to as much. So and then the 2.5-year-old, she grows every day. She's learning new things and new words. There's so much of her that I'm seeing every day. So that part I'm very grateful for. All right. The next question is, would you see the GIS industry in 5 years? And would you see yourself in 5 years? Art?
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to say me. I don't think my answer is going to hit it, because the thing is, okay, put it this way. When I first started my career, we all kind of went through those interviews, those starting out jobs, right? And one of the most common questions that I remember is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years, right? And I made stuff up. Like I made it all up. I had no clue what I was going to be doing in 5 to 10 years. And looking back at my life, like I've done a lot of different things. I said I've been with GIS now for 5 years, but I've done quite a number of different jobs and careers over my lifetime. And I actually like that, right? I like that. So for me, the not knowing and not planning 5 years ahead is actually comforting for me. I take comfort in not knowing what's going to happen next year. So the fact that this, COVID came out, and we're all stuck at home, and like you said, Grace, this is not normal. And I think a lot of people are looking back to normal. I'm not. I'm looking forward. I know it sounds.
How dare you?
I'm looking forward to what the world is going to look like as this progresses. I don't have a clue as to what it's going to be. We all have ideas, but I don't know. But that excites me. So back to your question, what's the GIS industry going to be in the next 5 years? Well, I hope it'll be broader and wider. I think we're all collectively working to kind of spread the gospel, so to speak, right? And I think we're all going to get better at it. And it's hi. But for me, where do I see myself in 5 years? I don't know. I'm excited to not know what's going to happen next year.
I like that. And Mike?
Where's GIS going to be in 5 years? That's the question. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah, where GIS is, and where you see yourself in 5 years. So it's two parts.
So unlike RF, I like things in baskets. I like things the way they work. I like train schedules that run on time. I like all those sorts of things, right? I love a good set schedule, and
nice list, right?
And I got a nice list that I could check things off, and at the end of the day, I can go, I did something, and that's not to say I don't.
Conversation is important. I love it.
Yeah. That's not to say I'm. That's nothing against the not knowing how it's going to happen. I think that's great too. I just know what I prefer, as I've been in the industry for as long as I have. But having said that, one of the exciting things about this is that it's always changing. Like the four of you don't need me to tell you that. I think it's always evolving. I was watching CNN the other day. I'm just telling stories at this point now, but and they had a documentary on the evolution of the internet, and it was talking about Y2K, and they were talking about all the different pieces of technology that needed to be updated to be that were so important to organizations and companies. And they brought up a screenshot of ArcView 3.2, and they were talking about that. So for those that have been in the industry long enough, that was a very old piece of technology. Yeah. So, and I just started thinking back to like, wow, that's how we used to do things on a little desktop, doing that. And now we are where we are today. It's gonna, I think, just to in this case, to totally agree with RF. I'm hoping it's just gonna be broader, hoping it's gonna be wider. I think we're seeing through with what's happening now, like all the amount, the way it's being used in analyzing, reporting on COVID. That's gonna go further into different health and where we haven't really been that deep before. I think, RF with transportation is going to be critical. Everything I read talks about like how is transit going to be? How are we going to have traffic jams? This goes back.
It's all on you, RF.
Yeah. So you will be gainfully employed for many years to come, whether you like it or not, right? I'm excited in the way that GIS can be used as we come out of this. Like, we're in an industry where it's gonna be used. It's not like my friend who lives across the street who's been laid off because what he does isn't really doing anything right now, and he doesn't know if it's going to come back. So excitement. I sleep better at night knowing that too, just because I think for the next 5 years, I'm hopefully still to be gainfully employed in the GIS industry, and happily so.
That's awesome. And Glenn and Grace, do you have anything to add to that?
Not particularly to what GIS will be in like 5 years. I think I agree with both Arif and Mike. I hope it will be more, it will be adopted more widely, and it will be driven. It will be part of the data-driven decision-making process. That's what I would like to see, that it helps people to see, to study the problems from a geospatial perspective, and that like many examples we see in the COVID crisis, that it helps a lot of industries and the public to understand. So that's what I would like to see, and I think it will happen more in the next 5 years. As for myself, I'm more in line with Arif. I don't know what is going to happen to me in five years, but I would hope that I will have more friends, more of my circle and communities in Toronto. It's a new city to our family. Less cranky with my little girl, and hopefully she will be less cranky at that time too. So
They've said it all. I'm just in the same boat with Arif. I don't want to know.
I like that philosophy though. Like I must agree. As much as I'm more like Mike, that I want to know, like I want to plan so that I feel secure and I feel good about it. There's also a part of me just like, I don't even know if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. We don't know. You hear people with coming up with all kinds of weird diseases or weird things that happen to them. Really, we plan for as if we live forever, but we really don't know what's gonna hit us. You know, and especially now people are walking around more. I'm always very cautious, like that cars don't run me over. So there's that part. But I think for the GIS industry, I agree with you guys for sure that we're in the good industry where we're all gonna have a job still. And we're still considered, essential business, and we're gonna be able to give so much more to the community as a whole, not just certain sector. I find that we can almost connect a lot of different sectors together somehow, through the different programs that we sort of started to have in place. But I think the GIS community, especially the online community, is starting to get more and more, especially even with our customers. Like I have a nonprofit organization working with a municipal because they can share stuff with artists online. And then they didn't know that they could do that with private groups before, right? And then now they do. I feel like we're, have the nice global family feeling through this GIS enablement. And that's what I enjoy. And I just don't know where it's gonna be in 5 years because technology changes so fast, right? You don't even know what's gonna happen next year. So, but I am looking forward to it. I don't know exactly what I'd be doing. Hopefully, do still something I like, but I still want to stay in the industry. I don't want to leave this industry. And I think this industry will be very important. Whether if it's going to be AI related, IoT stuff, or even, let's explore into Mars and let's see what's going on there. It's like, well, wait, before you go to Mars, let's figure out what's going on this planet. And how do we figure that out? Well, GIS can help you figure that out. It will touch every single thing that you want to figure out. It's all here, right? So
yeah, the ability to connect the dots. That's definitely like a key feature of why GIS is so important and still plays a very important role going into the future, no matter what future holds.
Yes.
And sometimes I'd say you don't even know that it's connecting the dots, but it does. At least, well, in my space, right? Like you said, Mike, I'm in the transportation space, and I haven't been in GIS, but I've been in transportation nearly all my life. And I was just doing a presentation the other day to someone, and we were talking about a traffic control center. Those giant screens in the traffic control center where you can see all this activity happening and all this sensors and lights and all messages. Well, what powers that is GIS. We know that in this group. But my point is, the people looking at that traffic control screen don't need to know that. It's not relevant to them that it is these three letters powering that. And so I think when I said earlier about wider adoption and to your point, Guan, about how it connects the dots, and even to Alice, how you're saying it all connects us, I think all that is true. But perhaps the way I'd like to see it evolve is that it does so stealthily. So it gets into organizations and it gets into those traffic control centers everywhere, and it starts touching all of our lives and connecting the dots. And the people using it don't even know nor care that it is really GIS. But it's this community that makes that happen.
Looking forward to that for sure.
I like the three letters that power everything. I think that's the new slogan there. That's really
the new slogan?
Trademarked or something. In there.
Contact marketing.
Yeah, but there's a danger though, right? Because you can come up with another three letters that power.
So,
careful.
You're a step ahead.
The next question is more like a very philosophical question. So depends on your religious or spiritual view or what a belief system that your answer might differ. So the question is, it's a multiple choice. So do you think COVID is a way of Earth punishing us, or B, a result of just accumulated actions that we're doing to the planet so that that the planet is just simply reacting to it, or C, an inevitable step that we must take to evolve so that to the next level of consciousness, so that it's actually a blessing in disguise.
I don't know if I want to say the word is the earth punishing us, but for me, just my own personal view with this COVID, it's telling me slow down. That's what I'm taking from it. It's you don't have to do everything. You don't have to show up at every event. Spend that time with family. I mean, is that not what we are doing right now? Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't want to look at that. It's the earth punishing us, but that would be my closest. That it's just giving me a warning. Slow down. So that's what I'm taking from this.
I completely agree with Grace. I think it's less of the earth as a personification of punishment, but it is about human. It's about society, and we have been moving far too fast.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for us to reflect. There was I read a story. I think the story came out of China, and it was a really small little thing about how the skies have been clearing in Beijing. Because of all the factories have been shutting down, right? And so
I know it's good, right?
I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is true, right, it gives people, particularly the folks in Beijing, to see, hey, there's a blue sky up there, right? Now that's an extension, because I have seen a blue sky in Beijing. I know it's there, okay, even before all this had happened. But the idea is similar, is the fact that it allows us, this whole incident has allowed us to kind of step back, pause, and take a look and find out what's really important. And so we've been going about our lives not looking up and enjoying that blue sky, and suddenly many of us don't have to commute to work anymore. So we're right away saving 2 hours a day, sometimes maybe even more. So we find ourselves a lot more time, but we're still quite productive. I still find myself quite busy and still productive, but we've been able to find that time, and I spend more of my day looking up at the blue sky. So yes, it is an opportunity to slow down.
So it is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike?
I'm going to contradict both of you. I don't think I've slowed down. I think I've sped up. I'm not spending 45 minutes getting to work and back and flying on planes. Like, I travel a bit too, but I'm finding I'm waking up earlier, starting to work, then managing homework, then managing the house, then managing the kids, then doing more work, then meal making and everything else that goes around through the course of the day. Kids go to bed, I stay up later and I do work, and maybe then I watch a little TV, read a book, listen to a podcast, go to bed. So I'm not looking up at the blue sky nearly as much as I used to. I might be getting outside a touch more, but it's more, let's go for a bike ride and a run, or let's go play tennis, and then let's come home because you got a call at 3 with your friend that you're working on a project. So I don't know if I see this as a blessing. I see this as making the most of the current situation we're in. And I don't know if making the most is even the best way to look at it, because dare I say, if anyone was asked if you would want to work from home for 3 months with your kids and still be expected to do the same amount of work that you were doing, I don't think too many people would raise their hand.
Yeah.
A, B, or C. Pick your
G.
poison, or pick either of those. Like, yeah, is the Earth maybe getting a little something? Sure. Is this a little more like we have to slow down and take things into the way they were? Yeah, perhaps. Like, I think when this is all said and done, things will eventually go back to what was normal before. Maybe I'll work from home an extra day or two a week or something to that effect. But I think things will eventually, be it a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, they will get back to the way they were.
Gwen, what do you think?
I'm thinking more in lines of B option. I think it's a result of the ecosystem and our interaction with the ecosystem, and how some of our activities are starting to touch some of the limits, and then we have an opportunity to see ourselves as a species, as part of the nature. I think it's not only economic driven view or approach to see the world may come to I would say not come to an end, but it gives you a perspective that may not be the perfect way to look at it and to treat our society as a whole, and our individual perspectives. Like we are part of nature, and whatever will hit us tomorrow or next year or down the future may not be what you're working on at all or care about at all. That may never come across your mind. So and I think how it affects different groups of people may be different. Yeah, we have the luxury to do more of these reflection because we all have job and we have like steady income and we have friends and family. But to some of the groups, it means that it makes their already vulnerable lifestyle worse. They can't find food and shelter, and now they have to worry about their health, more risk to their health on top of that. So I'm looking, whether it's a blessing in disguise or not. I think it's opportunity to look at things in a different way.
For me, I struggle with this because like I sometimes feel like it's an opportunity, like you said, that can help us, move forward. But then I do feel that maybe it's not. There's a lot of, almost like if to win something, you have to lose something, right? And then there's a lot of things being lost right now. There's a lot of people without jobs. A lot of people can't survive, and so we're just one of the lucky ones that we in the industry that we can survive. But there are lots who are not, and there's those people who are really has been yelling about climate change and global warming and all the things, the bad things that we've been doing to the climate. I think maybe that finally people are willing to listen. Maybe I feel like we sometimes react to things, especially when things bad happen. We react right away to negative, and I think we should all try not to, so that. Trying to find that opportunity, like you said, like try to find, okay, where can we work better? Like let's look. We're all, if you look at Earth from space, it's literally just oceans and land and some greenery and some clouds, and we're sharing this one atmosphere. That's it. There's no planet B yet. So that's all we got, right? Like, so if this was to go down, we're all gonna go down with it, right? So there's a lot of more of that, like, oh, it's not my problem, it's not my problem. I don't have to worry about it. But now I'm thinking it more that, okay, I should care more. Maybe there's more I can do. So for me, it's more like a self-reflect on this whole exercise that I'm doing. So the next question is, so this question is being, like, I love this question. I hate this question because
don't way to sell us on it right away.
I know, we're just telling something, right? Because every stage of my life, I would think about it, and I change. My answer changes differently, depends on where I'm at, and I still haven't found quite the good one yet. But I think I found a quote that explains it the best. But I'll ask you guys first. So the question is, what is the meaning of life to you at this point? I told you you're not gonna like it.
What is the meaning of life? Wow.
Easy.
Tell me. Okay, then you answer first.
Yeah, that's easy. 42.
I knew you were gonna say that one. I knew you were gonna say that.
There's your next book for your book club there, Grace.
Exactly.
What was that?
Anybody else has a different answer than 42?
That's Hitchhiker's Guide, right? That's
yes.
Right. Hitchhiker's Guide. Fantastic. Douglas Adams.
It's the answer to the ultimate. It's the answer to the ultimate question of life, universe, like everything. The answer to everything. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's a good answer. But no, in all honesty, so what is this? What is a common statistic about how often people change their careers? What is it, like 7?
3 to 5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 to 5 years. So in your lifetime, you'll change your career 7 times or something like that, right? They also say that I read this somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but it was almost like a physiological, not a study, but a physiological discussion about how people's bodies change every 7 years, like with the exception of certain cells in your eyes, right? They change, and that manifests itself as actually a change in your personality over 7 years, right? So people do change, and we all know that people change. Yeah. That's a common saying, right? So this was the physiological explanation into that, right? Whether we buy into it or not, it doesn't matter. But the point is that people do change, or change our choices, change our careers, and so I veer away from the idea of having a singular purpose. I think that's it's a bit much. It's a heavy weight to bear, right? To have a singular purpose. I think what's more important is that our lives are just a, they're a sequence or a series of small decisions that we make. And we choose what we do with our day-to-day lives. And those small decisions that we make, some of them have small consequences, some of them have big consequences. But when we're making those decisions, you cannot tell what the consequence would be or what the size of that consequence would be. So therefore, the size of your choice is not really a question. So is it a big purpose in life, or is it the small decisions that impact your life in general? I don't think any of us know the answer. So I guess my thing is, don't focus on that big purpose in life. I don't think it's really worth it. I think what's more important is that we take it day by day and make the decisions throughout the day that do what we want. If we want to spread happiness in the world, then do the little things throughout the day that's going to spread happiness in your home, in your family, and all that sort of stuff. If we want to spread evil, then do the little things in your day that are going to do that sort of stuff. Right? Hey, people make our choices, and we all have the freedom to make.
That's right. You do make those choices.
It's the little itty bitty things that we do every day, which change throughout our lifetime, and that's okay. So I don't see the need to have a big purpose. 42 is a nice answer, but there's no.
It could be easy as like 37. Like why 42, exactly. Right? It could be any number.
Yeah. Day by day, right? There's no, at least my view, there's no big, climax. It's just a day by day thing. And enjoy it. Get fulfilled every single day.
Yeah. Right?
Gosh, I really like Arv's answer, so I'll just say that.
Copy paste done.
Yeah,
so far you've opposed me on everything, Mike.
No, it's I don't know. I can't really I'm not that philosophical a guy. You heard me earlier. I'm not looking up at the clouds. I do like to spend a lot of time thinking, but I like to, maybe I'll throw it to what I say to my kids a lot. Like, there's a few things that I try and use in my life when I'm just doing things and how I try and be successful. And I don't mean like successful at work necessarily, or successful with my family, or successful in sports, or with money, or, maintaining a good house, or maintaining good relationships. But I tell the kids, know what you're good at doing. And if you know what you're good at doing, spend a lot of your time doing those things that you're good at. That's you're going to have a high return on the things you do for yourself, around others, and that. If you're good at something, you probably like it, you stick with that. The same time, when you're ever in a situation where, and this is getting very specific, if someone, I didn't do it here necessarily, but if someone asks, okay, who can do this? Don't be afraid to go first, or just be the one to do it. Just say, hey, yeah, I'll do it. That's a big thing that we've been doing with our kids right now, because it's okay, the teacher wants someone to pick who's going to go first for the lesson next week and present their thing. I'm like, Carter, just go first. Don't just do it. People will buys you a lot of creed. You get it done and over with. It's fun. It just jump right in. The other thing sort of builds off that is, know the things that other people are doing. And if certain people are doing a bunch of certain things, do something else. Don't necessarily go with the crowd and the flow and what they're doing. This is something I do at work a lot, where, everybody will get into this new piece of technology, and it's fine, let everybody go, get doing that. There's this little more obscure thing here that maybe won't get used as much, but people need to know about, or some responsibility that not everybody needs. Go work on those things, because that's going to add value to yourself too. So know what you're good at. Don't be afraid to jump in and get into those areas as well that others aren't willing to. So there's the meaning of life right there.
Good. What?
Those are very good answers. I don't know how I can top that. But if
I
I think of my answer before Arif or Mike talked, I would think marrying up their two answers would be my answer. Is that I believe in the same way that Arif, it's there's no big decision that you're going to make and then suddenly change your life. In my teenage years, I've always think there are certain moments that will, make me to be on a different track. But looking back in time, it's no, it's all small and incremental decisions that daily I made for myself that got me where I am today, and that led me on a different path than before. So also going down the kids path and more philosophical is that, especially in the COVID time, what I've been thinking is like the purpose of life for me now is like the hope. I have hope in that my daughter, when she grows up, she will live in a future that's more open, that's more, have more empathy, that has more equity in the future. And those are the things that, that gives me a direction that I want to see the world evolve. And there are certain things that we can do every day, just be mindful of our own unconscious bias, and bring that perspective in, me talking to a new person or talking to a friend, and educate our kids about that. So, like, I think the big purpose of I don't want to speak on behalf of all of you, but it's like we are raising this little humans, and that's no insignificant job. That's a huge change in the future generation. So I have a lot of hope in that, and that's what life to me is right now.
She could be the next president of the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
I don't think you can be the president of the United States.
No,
if
no.
you're not-
Right.
She
What
can
about?
be
Be a
Prime
dual
Minister of
citizen.
Canada.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
That's
okay,
better.
fine.
Yeah.
All right. Canada then.
Yeah.
Grace?
I agree with all three of them. To me, I don't know what the true meaning of life is, but as long as it's something that you enjoy, you do it to the best of your ability. That's how I've always taught my kids that you don't have to follow what people do. Be yourself, right? And people would always see that. Be kind, treat people kindly, So to me, I do not know. I will be like Mike. I do not know the true meaning of life, right? I just know I live it. I try to enjoy it. And I go to sleep at night, I guess. Right? So
I like all your answers. No, I like all your answers. I like how they're different, and there are definitely some in commonality. I still don't really know the answer to that question, but I saw two quotes that I will share with you that I like right now at this stage. At this 7 years of Alice in this body. So after 7 years, maybe I have a different answer. So we'll have another video then, okay? For this 7 years, there are two quotes that I like. One is from Picasso, and he said, "The meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away." Which kind of echoes what Mike was saying, that find what you're good at, and once you find it, you'll be able to share it with, contribute to the society or community, whatever you have, right? So I really like that quote. And the second one is, I can't remember who said it, but it's, "The meaning of life is to give life meaning, whatever that may be is to you." I love that, and I like how it's, you shouldn't have just one or two or five, whatever it is, figure it out and give it. And because I think I read somewhere that life, scientists say, or that life itself doesn't have meaning. We're humans are the one that gives it meaning, because if you look at an animal, they don't think about the meaning of life ever. They don't ponder on that. They don't think about it. They just do what they gotta do. The squirrel, they collect food for the winter, and it just does what it does. But we are always, the humans are the ones that's stressing about this and that, anxiety, for the future, and depression for the past, right? It's everything in our mind. So sometimes we're just too smart for ourselves, right? So I like those two quotes for now. So that's my answer for this stage of my life. The last question is my daughter's question, and she goes, "Why, mommy? Why?" Like, what do you mean, why? She goes, "Why do I have the reason to do something? Like, why? Like, why do I have to have a why?" And I'm just like, because I told you so. No. That's
as mothers, I think that's a very good answer. Sometimes you have to use it.
But I've noticed, this generation, they're a little bit more sassy, a little bit more, I don't know, definitely more sassy than I was. I would never say that to my whatever my mom is telling me, I just, okay, I just do it. I don't question it. But she it's a lot of questions. She questioned the authority. I love it and I hate it, for obvious reasons. We want our kids to have the courage to question things. But what do you think? How do you guys answer that question if your kids ask you why?
You mean like when you basically tell your kid to do something and they say, "Why do I have to do that?"
Yeah. Why do I have to have a reason to do something? Like, why do I need to do this?
Well, let's Basically, it's like speaking to anyone that asks why. Like one thing I try and do is, I try and teach. I've always tried to treat the kids like adults when I speak to them. Like I don't speak down to them. I don't do baby talk and any of that sort of thing. But I've always been like, if they're asking why, like, it's like, why do we have to have this? And it's like, well, like we're sort of like, why do we have to have this for dinner? I don't want this. And it's like, well,
exactly. Simple things like that.
We bought the groceries last week. This is what we said we're going to make on Wednesday night. We're eating it Wednesday night. Well, I don't like this. It's like, well, this is what we have. So this is what you're eating. And it's a matter of fact. Like we try and make it cut and dry. Like, why do we have to go to the park? Well, we want to go outside. We have time for exercise. You have something to do later today. We're going to go now. It's basically just, but we just let them know the real answer. Like I think why is a good question. Like I kind of like the why question. If someone's asking why, they're at least invested in it. So
Mike's answer make me see the light at the end of the tunnel because my daughter is at an age that you can't really reason. She doesn't understand fully when you're telling her the fact why. And things that's related to safety, I'm very serious. I'm like you and be like, if you don't do like this, you will get hurt and you're going to doctors, blah blah blah, and serious face. But for most of the time I try to explain her the why by weaving in games and stories. Why do I have to, brush my teeth? Because there's little worms that's living in there that they will eat your teeth if you don't want. Why do I need to eat vegetables? Well, because there are also good worms living in your mouth that they eat vegetables. If you don't eat them, then you're starving them. Like, there's whys, but then there's different ways of dealing with, and with little children, I find that's a much more effective way of dealing with them is not to get too serious, but to introduce games into their routines and their reasonings, so they're much easier to resonate with that and to play along with you.
I can have worm nightmares tonight.
Yeah, my God. Things crawling through your teeth.
Yeah, that is scary. I know you said good worms and bad worms, but they're all bad now. They're in my
What about you, Grace? Your 7.5-year-old seems similar to mine. I'm sure she challenges you in different ways.
Yeah, Nia challenges me every single time. That's why I told you she's not 7, she's 13. She tells me too many whys, and before I even answer the reason why, she gives me the answer. Okay, so the why to me, I try to answer it to how Mike says it. I do not sugarcoat anything. I am telling you exactly how you ask me as an adult, and I'm going to give it to you. My 7.5-year-old, she pretty much understands it that way. With the boy, well, maybe I might use that, storytelling. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see.
Trying that with washing hands. All these little monsters in your hands, and they want to get to your stomachs. You have to wash them away so that don't let them win. You win, right? So that gets them washing hands. I
have a technique where I tend to drive my kids crazy. My wife says I love to explain things, which is true. It's my personality. I will love to sit and explain something. I'll spend the entire afternoon or evening doing that. So when my kids ask me why, I tend to take it a step further. And so when it comes down to why do we have to wash our hands, I will mention the words microscopic bacteria. And they will say, what's microscopic? Oh, now I'll go on to another tangent. What's bacteria? I'm going to go on to another tangent, right? And so like you, I don't sugarcoat it, but I take it a step further and I deliberately put in words that I know they don't understand in order to beg more whys. So it's a little sadistic.
No, it's good. I like it. Get into a question, right? It's just on that topic, right? So it's right on that. It's on their mind.
And I find one of two things happens, right? One, like Mike said, if they're asking why, they're vested in it and they're genuinely interested in the answer. And I love when that happens. That happens sometimes, but more often they just get annoyed and irritated and just walk away.
That's going on again.
No, I like that. I kind of do something similar, but I don't do that big of a word. So, what I've tried with Athena is, why can't she eat that many desserts? Because I told her you can't have a dessert every meal. I'm sorry, you just can't. She's like, why? So I made her watch at nighttime. I made her watch this video. It's called Storybots.
Oh yeah,
And
the
it's
kids. Our guys.
yeah, the kids, right? So it
Yeah.
tells you each scientific explanation on certain questions the kids have and the answer them. So I made her watch that with me, and I said, okay, do you have any more questions? And do you understand why mommy's saying no more desserts? And then usually from that video, she will gain some knowledge, she'll understand. And then but then she'll forget. So next day she'll be like, oh, can I have some dessert? I'm like, do you remember what we watched on Storybots? And she's like, ugh. She'll complain, but at least I give her an answer that she can accept because she's been through that experience with me. She can't say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, because I made her watch it with me. So I know what she watched. Right. And so that one, as well as the Green Child was another one for kids. Again, they talk about things about space, about dream, about Earth, different scientific topics about the planet that kids questions about and still understand in a more fun way. So those are my go-to resource for now. I think we lost Grace. I don't know what happened to her.
I'm sure her kids are both streaming Netflix and they're overloading her.
Yeah. All right, so that's all my questions for today. So the last one is, do you guys have any questions for me or for anybody else in the group?
No, I have one last thing. Arif, if my husband does what you did and that resulted like everyone to be like 40 minutes late to dinner, I'll like flip out. So kudos to your wife to allow you to do such things. I'll be like so impatient, be like, dinner's ready. Why? Like after 10 minutes, there's still no one on the table. Where is everyone else? So
that's a day of the life of my house. That is actually what happens. I get in trouble quite often.
What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Anybody else?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you, Alice.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I do want Mike to show is what you did with your kids.
So you should see our Esri Canada website right now. So in the early days of once March break was to roll around, and then the kids are going to be off for a week, and then we were right away it was like they're going to be off for 2 weeks, and we realized, well, they were going to definitely be gone for 2 weeks. So we started setting up a schedule, and I thought, okay, we had Colleen and I have gone into our kids' classrooms to teach a geography lesson using our technology. So I thought, let's do something with Carter and Nolan to get them using our technology in some way. And so what we did was we put together a story map, and we're looking at the Esri Canada education blog right now about our recent trip to Walt Disney World. So I wanted to use it as a way to, for myself, just actually start playing with the technology a little bit more, because I had not worked with it as much as I would have liked to have. I wanted them to have an activity where they would learn how to use the technology and also help relive our recent trip. So here is the resulting story map. So we broke it down into day by day, what happened on each day. The first day was a travel day, having dinner, where we enjoyed our meal. Nice pre-COVID haircuts. Oh God, they look so nice. And then we basically at each day we just did a tour of each park and had sort of the favorite things we liked there. So this was it took about a week and a half to do. It took there was a lot of discussion. It was very interesting to do it with them, because we storyboarded and we said, okay, like, what are we going to do in here? And we just started writing out, like, maybe we should do it by park or by day, or our top 10 favorite things. And then it was like, okay, what pictures are we going to use? What scale of map are we going to show? Are we going to use a imagery based map? How are we going to explain this? And it was very similar to the way we would normally do things when we were building any sort of web type display of information, and they quite liked it. I think we'd spend an hour a day every day for a little more than a week to do it. Yeah, and they enjoyed it. It was fun. Like, our education team picked up on the blog. The story maps team in the US featured it here and there a few times, and it was great. So we've started thinking about, like, now summer's upon us, no more school. I got to get them doing something else. So we are going to our next little project we plan on, we were walking around the neighborhood. I don't know if you guys have these where you live or not. They have these little libraries, which are like these posts in the ground. I don't know where you guys live. They have the little libraries they put in the ground. They're these little boxes, and there's books in them that people just drop off. They're called little libraries, and we have them in our neighborhood. And basically, the concept is you put a book in, take a book out. People just drop books off. And we were walking by one the other day, and there was Jurassic Park. And I thought, oh, I should come back with a book and exchange it later. And then we came back later in the week. It wasn't there, and I was like, okay, let's go. Are we at the right one? And I'm like, we need a map of these. So we're gonna set up like a little, like we're gonna either make up a little survey, put up a little dashboard, and we're gonna go around the neighborhood, and we're gonna start like clicking every time we find them. So.
Cool.
Yeah, so that'll force me to start using Survey 123 again. Haven't used it in a bit. That'll force me to start like using dashboards a bit, and they can have something to do too. So.
And quick capture. You can probably do.
We could do quick capture. Actually, that is not a bad idea. Look at that. I'm thinking. Look at this. That might be a better solution than. Yeah, quick capture. Click it.
It's much easier. I find it's much easier than the collector.
Maybe we use quick capture. I was thinking Survey 123, but here you go.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for sharing your story map. It's wonderful. Thank you guys for coming to this video, and I will see you guys soon.
Thanks, Alice.
So,
Thank you, Alice.
bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the next episode with the same questions, but to GIS staffs with no kids, and see what are their challenges and how they answered the same question. Thanks for watching. See you next time.